What makes a good layout and how can you make your layouts better? The key to having a good layout is by having all the elements balance and coordinate one another. Without this coordination and balance, your work turns out messy and hard to understand. But how do I know that what I'm doing is right? Here are the basic principles of design and layout to help you on your next design project. The first principle we're going to talk about is balance. Balance provides stability and structure to your design. This can be done by making sure that all the placements of your elements are equally distributed. But this doesn't mean that all elements should be symmetric and of the same size. There are many ways to bring creativity and balance to your work at the same time. Asymmetrical balance is also a good way to show authenticity and uniqueness to your design by making it more laid back and not too formal. Practicing proper alignment, wise usage of other principles which will be discussed later on, also play a role in bringing balance to your design. The next principle is white space. White space, also known as negative space, refers to the space around or between the subjects of a certain image or layout. The use of negative space helps give more meaning and a touch of simplicity to your work and gives the viewer some time to breathe and not to be too bombarded with too many elements to process all at the same time. Contrast refers to the use of different or contrasting elements in a design. This makes certain aspects of your design to stand out and make them easier to see or read. Some ways of applying contrast is by applying contrasting colors for your font and background, or by using different font styles and sizes to create emphasis. Emphasis deals with elements that are made to stand out. We mostly apply emphasis on the most important elements of your design, which you want the viewer to be the first thing they see. This is also an effective technique to convey something with the use of only a few words or an image alone. This can be done by applying bold font styles and colors to important elements, or adding other shapes to emphasize an image or text. Proportion is a principle closely related to emphasis, balance, and the use of space. Simply put, one must practice good use of spaces and proportion by making sure that important elements get enough space for emphasis, while also maintaining a sense of minimalism and simplicity. Another closely related principle is hierarchy. Hierarchy refers to the order of importance of elements in a design. This is most evident with the use of a hierarchical pattern on a design, wherein the title is usually placed at the top or given the most emphasis, and then slowly working your way down to the other smaller supporting details. One thing to note here is that the most important elements should always be given ample emphasis. Repetition. If you think that this principle literally means using the same text and images in your design over and over again, no, it's not that. Repetition in design only means keeping everything consistent, like using a singular color palette for your whole work, and by designating specific font styles for specific parts to establish relationships between elements and implementing a certain pattern which the viewers can easily follow. Pattern. Pattern refers to specific arrangements of elements in a design. A standard pattern would be the hierarchical pattern, wherein the most important elements go at the top. However, with design, there is always room for creativity. Just always keep in mind the accessibility of your work and make sure that it is always understandable. Another important principle to consider is the principle of rhythm. Similar to the concept of rhythm in music, rhythm in design is used to create a certain feeling to a design by manipulating its elements to implement that feeling. It all depends on the creativity of the designer and the way they use the elements. A designer can give off the feeling of excitement or formality based on how they use certain elements to convey it, depending on their usage of color and pattern. Movement. Movement refers to how the eye is directed along a design. Therefore, other principles like emphasis, hierarchy, and pattern should be successfully implemented to establish movement. An example would be applying some sense of movement to certain elements to make them stand out and at the same time lead the viewer along with the flow of your design by implementing hierarchy. Variety. Variety in design is used to create visual interest, wherein the designer uses certain elements to catch the viewer's attention and help them stay engaged. This can be done by adding some pop of color to your design, some images, videos, and animations that the users can interact with. It is very important to consider and to make sure that every element counts and that they reinforce other elements in turn. Implementation of variety in design makes a huge difference in the user experience by making the design more interactive. Unity. Unity refers to how all the elements work together to create one singular work. This is one of the most important principles because it helps define your work as a whole. Without unity, your output would be of poor quality. This can be achieved by organizing your elements well so that they can create a certain flow and establishing a clear relationship between your elements. This can help you ensure that your concepts are being communicated in a clear and cohesive fashion. Once again, here are the principles of design and layout brought to you by Darlene Mader Rosario of 11 STEM 1 Represent. Don't forget to check out the other videos in this channel until I can subscribe.